Hello Silver Moon. I am back to explore this nonfiction book about volcanoes. Remember, nonfiction books teach us information. It's things that happen in real life, and sometimes it includes a lot of history. Okay, now let's see where we left off on our nonfiction book. This was the next page. So I'm noticing there's really not any words on this page. So that means we can make up our own words for what we want the pictures to say or tell. So it starts here, and then our friend sees a map or a sign saying go up the mountain. And then he goes here, and then he goes here, and he's going up the mountain, and he's so tired. And over here, he's even more tired. And then he stops for some water. And then it continues up here, over to here. Here he meets the angry volcano. And here, oh no, run away. And here he's safe. Okay. Next question. Where are most volcanoes found? Volcanoes often cluster together in little groups. In Iceland, there are many volcanoes. The whole country actually originated as a volcano. Some volcanoes in Iceland lie below the ice. That sounds strange, but lava can actually make the ice melt. And that's up there. Here in Europe, right there, there's a little island called Sicily, and there's Mount Etna there. In Europe, most volcanoes are in Italy. The Etna and Vesuvius are some of the world's most dangerous volcanoes. Hawaii consists of many small islands, as many as 137 of them, and all of those islands came to be because of volcanoes, and they erupted. In a ringlet around the Pacific Ocean, there are more than 100 volcanoes. This chain of volcanoes is sometimes called the Ring of Fire. And it's right here, it's right where the page splits. It's right there. Did you know the biggest volcano in the world can be found in Hawaii? Silver Moon. So now I'm going to open up the book this way, and I'm going to read some of it, okay? Let's see. Mount St. Helens in Washington State is famous because in 1980 it erupted with such force that it actually became a smaller volcano. Here you can see what it looked like. This picture right here. It is proud and big. It was a dormant volcano, which means it was a sleeping volcano. On the other side of the page, you can see what Mount St. Helens looks like now. Okay, so here is Mount St. Helens, the dormant volcano. And then a big eruption happened almost 40 years ago. I'm going to close that side, and we're going to open the other side. So now it's going to talk about the active fly geyser in Nevada. It is famous because it did not come to be naturally. It was made by humans by accident. People were looking for water and they drilled a well. But a leak sprung in the well and water has been escaping for years. And so because people drilled down into the earth, they were trying to make a well, and then water escaped, and now water is escaping from inside the earth, and it's just spouting out everywhere. It's a place where people can visit, and it's safe. Okay, now we're going to read this part. Usually, volcanoes come to be very slowly, but Parcutin in Mexico is famous because it grew so fast. It came to be in 1943, and it grew about 164 feet in one day. That's really fast, Silver Moon. Now the volcano is more than 1,300 feet. But luckily it has stopped growing, so now it is a dormant volcano like Mount St Helens once was. And over here, we're going to look at the picture of Mount St Helens. Okay, yeah, right here. And here you can see what Mount St Helens looks like now. During the eruption, a big chunk of volcano collapsed. The tip disappeared and it left a crater right here. Do you see how this depression dips down? The mountain doesn't have a point anymore. It has a crater. A new mountaintop, suddenly the mountain was about 1,300 feet smaller. A new mountaintop started growing right in the middle of the crater because it's an active volcano. So what happened is it had its volcanic eruption and it blew off the top of the volcano. And now it's left with this crater. But because the magma is coming up through the tube of the volcano, it's pushing the magma up through the volcano right here. And then once it turns to lava and gets up to here, after it dries, it turns to rock. So the magma pushes up through the tube and the lava, what you guys know as lava, solidifies to rock. And so that is how Mount St. Helens has a new mountaintop growing. Kinds of volcanoes. There are various kinds of volcanoes. If a volcano erupts once in a while, it's called an active volcano. Volcanoes that have not erupted in a very, very long time are called dormant volcanoes. A dormant volcano could always wake up and start erupting again. An extinct volcano is a volcano that will probably never erupt again. The Earth's crust has grown so thick with rocks, so magma can no longer escape. And now, an extinct volcano, you can kind of think of it as a mountain. They're not exactly the same, but it's kind of like a mountain. Okay, let's read this page. Nevertheless, some people live near dormant volcanoes because there are many benefits as well. The volcanic ash makes the soil fertile so farmers can grow fruits and vegetables, and the scenery is magnificent. Many people will travel to see the landscape. That's why a lot of nice vacation destinations are near volcanoes. Did you know that scientists create power with heat of volcanoes and geysers, so people who live in the area around the volcano can have free energy? That's so cool. I didn't know that until I read this book. Volcanologist. That is a very big word. Can we say it again? Volcanologist. What do you think volcanologist means or does? Let's find out. There are some people who know a great deal about volcanoes. They study them and are called volcanologists. So now we know. Because they keep a good eye on active volcanoes, volcanologists can sometimes predict when a volcano will erupt. They can warn people who live nearby to move to safety. A gas mask, kind of like the mask that we wear when we go outside, is needed because volcanoes release dangerous gases and they can make you sick. It is dangerous near volcanoes. That's why volcanologists wear helmets. Volcanologists never pick up solidified lava with their hands because it's way too hot to touch. They always use special grabbers. I don't know if you can see in the picture right here, this volcanologist has a special grabber to pick up rock near the volcano. To do their research, volcanologists have to collect lots of stones and ash, and they'll put the stones and ash and dirt and dust into these containers, and then they'll take the containers back to their research lab and they'll study them under microscopes, or they might put them in petri dishes with other chemicals to see what happens to them. If you want to become a volcanologist, you have to love adventure. You have to climb mountains and spend nights outdoors and dare to get very close to volcanoes. It's tense and dangerous work, but thanks to brave volcanologists, we know a great deal about volcanoes. Volcanologists use special thermometers. Solidified lava is so hot a normal thermometer would melt. Did you know that volcanologists listen to vibrations in the ground? Before a volcano erupts, the ground begins to shake fiercely. So we don't feel the ground moving, but the ground and the earth will vibrate a little bit. It'll move back and forth a little bit, kind of like a mini earthquake. And we can't really feel it because we're moving around all day. And some of us live in high buildings and we don't even feel it. And that is our book. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.